Hi guys, welcome back to another video. I'm so excited for today's video. I'm sorry my throat keeps going in and out, or like my voice, but this is a video I've wanted to make for so long. We're gonna do a little sit down chat all about my wellness journey. This is something that I've gotten a lot of questions about, and I'm just so excited to share. I am going to try my best to streamline it and make it as easy to understand as possible, because I'm gonna be completely transparent. I just filmed for 40 minutes and I'm doing it again. I'm fully redoing it because I felt like I just rambled and my brain jumped all over the place, and I want to make it so you guys aren't frustrated listening to it. I do want to give a couple of disclaimers and just trigger warnings. I'm not going to talk about numbers in terms of weight. I'm not going to show you pictures of myself, but I am going to mention things like body dysmorphia and just weight in general, certain ways of eating, exercising, and I just want to be very sensitive to that. So please be aware. I've never had an eating disorder, nothing like that, but I did have some like disordered eating, and there's just talk of body and weight and things like that. So I want to be really sensitive and just let you guys know that ahead of time. So before I jump into it, what you need to know as like some background history is this is something I didn't discover until until pregnancy and postpartum. I don't know if I still have it, but I had extreme body dysmorphia, like extreme body dysmorphia. Now, like I said, this never caused me to have an eating disorder or anything, or do anything drastic like that, but it did drive a lot of my life, because I would have stages where I was literally very underweight and thinking I needed to lose weight because of just what I saw did not make sense. And it wasn't until I got pregnant and started looking at pictures when I was like, oh, wow, I looked amazing. I wish I recognized that and appreciated it and could have been confident in that. So, and I think this body dysmorphia stems from I'm very short and very petite, but I never considered myself skinny. There are times in my life that now when I look back at it, I'll be like, yeah, I was skinny. But everyone else around me kind of told me I was skinny, and I think that just messed with my head because they were projecting. They were like, you're small, so you're skinny. And I'm like, no, but I'm not skinny. Like, I'm just short. And I think that really just messed with my head because I felt like I needed to be skinny because everyone was telling me I was skinny. I feel like that's important context. Other things are, I am not currently on them, but I've been on ADD medicine for 15 years, and that made me have zero appetite. So this is going to sound like a ridiculous statement and you're going to think I'm exaggerating, but I'm not. For probably 10 years of my life, I only consistently ate one meal a day. Don't know how I'm still here. I have always had a really massive sweet tooth, and I used to be very picky. So like I didn't eat a lot of salads or veggies or like a big variety of things. And I also ate a lot of sugar. All that being said, let's get started. I was a gymnast and a cheerleader for most of my life, and so when I was a gymnast, like in middle school and stuff, I never did anything outside of that. I never was like watching what I ate. I never was working out outside of that because I was like, I'm doing it all here. And then I would say it was about when I was like 16ish that I really started to like work out on my own and pay attention to like anything fitness related. And when I was 16, this was the prime time for Pinterest and Pinterest thinspiration and like the Victoria's Secret workouts, and like you should do all of these things to lose weight. And like I was buying it. I was doing all of it. I definitely had my own thinspiration board on Pinterest and like 50 different workout boards. This was like, it's wild when I think about it. So I was cheerleading, so most of my working out was done just through that. But if I were to do anything else, I specifically remember there was like a series of apps that was like 10-minute abs, 10-minute arms, 10-minute yoga. Like I would do that, and I would do the elliptical, and that was literally it. And like I said, I really didn't eat much. I've never been a big breakfast person, and I really was not hungry for lunch. And I don't even mean like I would bring lunch and I would pick at it. Like I did not bring lunch, and I didn't have like money in my lunch account at school. Like literally didn't eat lunch. But I would eat things like Zaxby's all the time because I could drive. I was working and I did cheerleading, so I just was like always busy. So I would just get like Moe's or Zaxby's like all the time. And obviously that's not healthy for that to be your only meal of the day. And then I would also eat like so much Ben & Jerry's, so much candy. I had a time where it was part of my routine, like every week, to go to Walmart and buy Reese's and, oh my gosh, what was it? Reese's and either a Nerds Rope or Airhead Extremes, like every single week. I also was keeping Advil in business, okay? Like I would take so much Advil because my body always hurt from cheerleading. Part of this, I now know, I think is part of my autoimmune condition, but like I would like to say nowadays I'm like the epitome of health. If you think something's healthy, I do it. Could not be farther from that at the time. I'd also go to Starbucks all the time. I would also drink tall boy sized Mountain Dews, like so unhealthy. I was also using things like MyFitnessPal. This was like the big MyFitnessPal era. If you don't know what MyFitnessPal is, number one, I'm jealous of you. And number two, it's just like a very basic calorie counter and everyone used it. And I definitely would use it to like try to lose weight. Like this is a really sad statement, especially given that until right now, I really never needed to lose weight my whole life. But I don't remember a time after being 16 that I wasn't actively trying to lose weight. I think I have a vague memory of like the hot thing was like raspberries were really good for losing weight. And so I had like raspberry pills that I would take. It was wild. Okay. It was a wild time. But anyway, that was when I was like 16, 17, 18, like towards end of high school. And then as I was about to go into college, I did not have like a freshman 15, but I had like injuries in high school and cheerleading had stopped and I was still eating the same way and I didn't have a base of health behind anything. So I was like, for my life in general, body composition wise, health wise, like I would say I was like the worst right when I was starting college. So not in college, but when I was starting college. Then I started college, my eating habits did not change other than I ate less. Like I ate even less than I was eating before. And because I was in a dorm room, so I didn't really have a kitchen that I wanted to use, and I had a meal plan, but I was never hungry. So I just like, it was a whole thing. I also, when I was in school, like during the year, I did not work out at all. And this is gonna sound like the stupidest statement ever, and I understand it is. But I used to joke that I would do reverse hibernation. So at the end of the year, like during the summer, I would work out so much and I'd be like, oh, that'll just like last me all year. Because I wish I was kidding when I told you this. Like I wish I could be like, oh, I was just like going to parties and having so much fun. But like, no, all I did was study. Like all I did was study. And so I felt like I didn't have time to do anything else. And part of this was I had to take my medicine to study. Like I wasn't abusing it or anything. Like I have a homework pill to take, but like the medicine made me not hungry. And the more I had to study, the more I had to take my medicine. So I just like really did not eat. My like go-to dinner was literally microwave green beans and Baby Bell cheese. That was it. Like that's what I would eat for the entire day. Like tons of coffee and that. When I would work out at home, like in the summer, I would do like conditioning style workouts. I'm gonna scour the internet to see if I can find it, but there was this one guy who had all these workouts that was like different type of like fun workouts. Like it was like a Spider-Man inspired workout, a this inspired workout. And so I would do like those types of things. And then I don't want to use the actual word for this, but I would do a lot of those things where you run to one line and you run back and you run to the next line and you run back. If you catch my drift, I just don't want to use the word. So like I would do that type of thing with like push-ups, sit-ups, squats, just like conditioning style workouts. Once I graduated, I started eating a little bit better. I definitely was still eating all the same things. Like I would still get McDonald's like so much. Like one time I was visiting my now husband at college because I graduated early. And I had told him, I was like, I'm not eating fast food anymore. I'm not going to have chicken nuggets. Like I'm not going to do it. And then I was like driving back. It was like a 4-hour drive. And I sent him a picture of something. And he's like, I literally see the chicken nuggets like in your car. And I was like, oh, okay. But I was starting to work out more consistently. Not in like any type of program or any type of specific way. Like I would do a lot of walking. Like I would go to the gym and walk on the treadmill for an hour to an hour and a half. And then I would do abs. And that was basically it. But I also was still eating a ton of sugar. This is when the infamous story, I'm sure I've told it on some app. My husband, one time in the middle of the night, heard like crinkling and looked over, and I was eating Hershey Kisses out of my bedside table at 2 a.m. I'm not proud, okay? So this was like, I graduated in August 2017, so this was like about that time. Then at some point, I think in 2018, I had this like aha moment, and I was like, this sugar issue needs to stop. Like, I used to have 5 pints of Ben and Jerry's at the ready, like just in case I needed a different flavor. Like, I would have so much sugar, and it was horrible. Like, I'm terrified to think of like what I was doing to my body back then. It was so bad. But anyway, I decided this needs to stop. So I said, we're doing it cold turkey. Like, I need to stop eating sugar cold turkey, which I don't necessarily recommend because I don't know that that would work for everybody, but I needed to shock my system in that way. And I went cold turkey for a month with no sugar. And I can honestly say it changed my life, which sounds really dramatic. And I don't mean it changed my life in the sense of like I lost a ton of weight or anything like that. It like really cut out my cravings, which was so helpful. And it just kind of started better lifestyle. And then I definitely like added sugar back in after that. Like, it wasn't like that was the last time in my entire life that I ate sugar, but it just helped a lot. And then at this time I was still doing a lot of walking and just like conditioning style workouts. Then we get to January 2019. And this is the first time I ever did like a programmed workout, and I started working with a personal trainer, and it was not a great experience for me. I don't think the trainer was a good match. I don't think she listened to me. I was doing like big, like heavy lifting, like squats and bench press and like traditional weightlifting. And she also recommended like counting macros. And I was very, very clear of like, just so you know, I used to not eat. And she was like, oh, no, I get it. Like, I used to be really skinny too when I was younger. And I'm like, no, it's not a skinny thing. I don't think my body can handle a lot of food because I used to not eat. And she didn't really listen to that. And so she had me eating amounts that was not right for my body. And I gained weight during this time. And I was very, very unhappy about it. And so I was doing like meal prep and counting macros. And I was doing intermittent fasting at some point in there. But it was not good. I mean, I was very healthy, but I was not happy with the outcome, so I stopped doing that. And then in March 2019, I went vegan. This was not for like aesthetic purposes or weight loss or anything like that. I'm a very like inflamed person. The only ingredient I used to pay attention to is like sodium. And I get inflamed really, really easily. I get like swollen really easily. And I had seen a lot about how animal products are inflammatory, which I still believe. And so I decided to cut that out, and I loved it. I was vegan for about 5 years. But this also right at the beginning was the time that like, if you were vegan or saw people who were vegan in like 2019, it was like, your meal is like a plate of mangoes. Like, I never did that, but like, it was like very like raw vegan and like Buddha bowls and eating your entire meal in the size of a coconut bowl. So I was doing a lot of like meals like that, which honestly I loved. They were tasty, but it wasn't sustainable. Then I moved to LA in May 2019, and this is when I feel like my whole life changed for several reasons. And I honestly can't even like mention LA right now without wanting to cry with everything going on. Like, I just can't. But anyway, it really changed my life. I just got to be in such a healthier lifestyle and healthier mindset, and it just changed my life. So I moved to LA, and I used to joke that when I moved to LA, I need to become a runner because like everyone runs in LA, and it's pretty and it's good weather, and I can run on the beach. And I will never forget, I'll never let my husband live this down. He had come to visit, and we were in Venice, which is where we were in Venice was about 1.5 miles from the Santa Monica Pier. And I said to Matt, I said, my goal is to run to the pier. And he was like, Nicole, are you sure? Like, that's, like, it's pretty far. And I was like, yeah, I can do it. Somehow, me and my friends in grad school got into running all together. The rest of them were, like, soccer players, so they were used to running. But we all joined a run club. And so this was, like, August that we joined the run club. And in November, I was running a half marathon. and I ran the Malibu half marathon, which is one of the hardest marathons. It's hills. It's on the PCH. It's horrible. Like, the president of the run club was like, yeah, just get through 10 miles and you're good. And I'm like, excuse me, that's almost the whole race. What do you mean? Just get to 10 miles. It was beautiful. Like, we jumped in the ocean after. There was dolphins. It was amazing, but like, I hated it. It was horrible. I also started eating a good bit healthier at that point, where I wasn't eating as much like sugar and sweets. I wasn't eating as much fast food, but what I didn't pay attention to at all was ingredients, because if you've ever been vegan, or probably, I'm sure it's the same if you're like keto or you do one of those other things, is like you get excited by all these products that are like labeled vegan. And so like I was eating like vegan Cheez-Its and things like that. I wasn't doing the fake meats. It actually took me a long time before I even like tried any of that, because it freaked me out. Those don't have the best ingredients. It's like, just because you're vegan doesn't mean you're healthy, because like you could eat literally Oreos and French fries every day and still be vegan. I was eating a lot of things like that. But then in terms of like cross training, I was using the Sweat app. Also in November of 2019, stopped drinking alcohol like completely, because, well, one, I was in a run club and we would run every morning at like 6, 7 a.m. So like, I can't be drinking alcohol the night before. I have run club in the morning, which was a great excuse to like not socialize sometimes. But there was one point, I happened to be getting sick the same day that I like drank a lot, and I just like puked my guts out, and I was so miserable. But then I continued to puke for like days afterwards, so I know that it wasn't that. And at that point I was like, I just don't like this anymore. I don't feel the need to do it, and I just stopped drinking. Then COVID happened. So, oh, and when I moved to LA, I also got the Aloe Moves app, and so I would do like a decent bit of yoga. I think I would try to do a little bit of yoga every day. But anyway, then COVID happens, and this is the first time I think I remember like really looking at ingredients. I don't specifically remember it, but just thinking back to the meals we were making, nothing was processed. We weren't doing like boxed mac and cheese. We weren't doing things like that. It was all like whole foods based. This is the first time I ever worked with a registered dietitian, who I'm working with her again now. She's amazing. I'm gonna put her Instagram in the description because she's incredible. But we worked a lot on like hunger cues, because I felt like because of my medicine, I did not have hunger cues. Like, I literally didn't have them. Like, I didn't know when I was hungry. I didn't know when I was full. I also got big into yoga, because what else was I gonna do? It was COVID. Couldn't really do anything. So I was using the Aloe Moves app, and I was doing yoga every single day for like 30 minutes to an hour, and it was really fun, and I really enjoyed it, and I got really good at it. But like, there hasn't been many other times in my life since then that I have the time to just like do yoga for an hour a day. I also got all of Sarah's Day's workout guides that were available at the time, so I was using those, which I really liked. But the only thing for me, and I talked about this somewhere recently, I can't be held responsible to like count reps and do things like that, because I'll just cheat. It's just the fact of the matter. I have really bad like self-discipline, and so I really need follow along workouts. But I liked the workouts, and I liked the form of them. I just can't do them successfully. I was also using a lot of the Sweat app, and then I was doing what I call low-key running, because I was not running miles and miles and miles. Oh, that reminds me, if we go back to the running era, this Malibu half marathon was so hard that my friend and I felt so bad about ourselves. Like, we were like in a mental rut for like weeks, and we were like, let's do another one. So we signed up for another secret half marathon in Huntington Beach, and we didn't tell any of our friends until like a week before, which was wild. So that was kind of what was going on during COVID. And then as we moved out of COVID, like 2021-ish is where I kind of think my wellness era really started. This is when I worked with a naturopath, because I was having horrible bloating, like really intense bloating. It was miserable. And so I worked with a naturopath. I worked with a naturopath, and I did this huge gut healing journey. Like, I had to do this whole gut reset where I had to drink really gross stuff and take a bazillion pills and go on a extreme elimination diet. But it worked. It reset my gut. And then I found out that I'm gluten and dairy intolerant. So that really informed like a lot of my decisions going forward. I also at this time started to really, I think, pay attention to more ingredients. not super closely yet, but I also was more into like natural remedies. Like she gave me stuff to take for like stress, and like I should look into taking that again. But they were all like homeopathic natural remedies, like digestive enzymes and all that kinds of stuff. This is also the first time I ever tried SoulCycle. And let me tell you, my life was changed. People say it's a cult. People say it's overhyped. No, 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 no. It is adequately hyped. I love it. It was the best. I also started doing like MWH or Melissa Wood Health workouts. We were surfing for a while. I was doing core power. Like this was like my prime era, like the best shape I've been in probably in my life. And I was just thriving. And this was kind of end of 2021 into like summer 2022. Then unfortunately is when I started all my fertility stuff. And I'm not going to harp on it. I'm not going to go super in depth, but there's a couple things I'll point out. I am going to also link my fertility story in the description, because if you don't know it, like that, you can find out that way. I had to take hormones, I had to take medications, and it just like threw everything off. That's really all I'm gonna say about that. And also, because all my infertility was unexplained, I think I started to pay a lot more attention to like using non-toxic products, because I was like, I don't want other things harming my body. I still was keeping up with SoulCycle and then doing like Melissa Wood Health, and that was basically like most of my workouts, because I stopped core power because you cannot go in saunas or heated things when you're pregnant, and I kept thinking I was going to be pregnant. Somewhere in this time, I also discovered how much I loved like saunas, like infrared saunas, and I got a sauna blanket for Christmas, which is my favorite thing ever. I still use it every single day. Not every day. I still use it multiple times a week. It's my favorite thing that my husband got me. And I also started boxing. I actually realized I started boxing a little bit before that, but like my husband got me pads and boxing gloves, and that's like one of my favorite workouts. It's so hard and it's so much fun. And then we eventually bought a punching bag, so I would do a lot of boxing, and I was still doing a little bit of yoga, but not as much, other than like the core power. Then that brings me to like 2023, which I call my ClassPass era. I was doing all the classes: berries, Pilates, yoga, SoulCycle. And then I would go beach walks, or something I didn't mention yet. But beach walks I started doing like the second I moved to California. I would either run or walk at the beach at least once a week. And it's just my favorite thing. And like I said, it just kind of helped feed that healthy lifestyle of like getting outside, moving my body. Once I got pregnant, somewhere in the pregnancy, I moved away from being vegan, because I would get really nauseous in the morning and I needed to eat, but I did not want anything sweet, but I didn't like the processed vegan stuff. So I started like eating eggs, and then I talked about this, I think, in my last Q&A. So I'll just tag that below. I'll put it in the description, because I don't need to get into it again. But basically I added in chicken in pregnancy, and then slowly since then I kind of moved away from being vegan. But what was really fun is sorry, I'm staring at my baby monitor. I got to eat gluten in pregnancy because it just didn't affect me, which was so fun. And in pregnancy, in terms of fitness, I tried to go on a lot of walks, but I got shin splints relatively early on, which made it really tough to walk. I followed Sarah's Day's pregnancy workout guide, which I really enjoyed. And then I did prenatal Pilates my entire pregnancy once a week. And I was doing SoulCycle until probably halfway through. And then for various reasons I stopped, one of them being it just wasn't comfortable. So that was kind of my fitness regimen in pregnancy. In terms of food, I didn't do anything other than like what I just said about like adding in animal products, but I didn't count calories. I wasn't like making sure I ate this and not that. But I think the way I was already eating really set me up to have a super healthy pregnancy, because I wasn't like, I didn't have pregnancy cravings for ice cream and blah, blah, blah. Like I was craving like a salad. Like the most like unhealthy thing I would crave regularly or eat regularly was like a burrito with Beyond Steak and vegan cheese. Like that was it. So it really set me up, and this kind of goes back to like cutting out the sugar. Like people were like, how are you eating this in pregnancy? And people were like, how are you, like I'm over here eating Taco Bell and my body just doesn't crave it, which is really helpful. Okay, now we gotta speed it up because I think the baby's waking up. After I had Louie, I got back in the gym, like doing actual like weightlifting-esque stuff, like gym workouts for the first time in 5 years. It felt really good. I was using Brinley Joiner's program on form. I really liked it, but then eventually I just don't have a gym membership anymore. And like I said, I gotta speed this up and stop rambling. But now what my fitness routine looks like is I use form for home workouts. I use Melissa Wood Health all the time. We got a treadmill, so I've been doing a lot of intentional cardio, which is something that was missing from my routine for several years. I basically don't eat any refined sugar. I pay super close attention to ingredients like gums and oils and all the yucky stuff that they randomly throw into food. And in terms of like outside wellness, I love cold therapy, like cold exposure stuff, however I can get it, like dunking my face in water or ice rolling, ideally cold plunges, but like I don't always have access to that. I love saunas, like my sauna blanket. I do a lot of gua sha, lymphatic drainage work. I currently am really focusing on gut health, so I eat like ginger that's been in lemon and salt before every meal. I take digestive enzymes before every meal, and I'm super whole foods based. I think that's basically it for right now. Like I said, I gotta go get my baby, but I would love to do a Q&A, like a wellness focused Q&A. So if you have any questions about anything I've said or anything I didn't say, put it in the comments, because I will film a second video that is solely answering your questions. And I can talk a little bit more about my like postpartum journey and things like that in relation to wellness if you want. If you watched this whole thing, thank you so much. Thanks for bearing with me. You guys didn't really have to bear with me, but I did record this twice, so thanks for sticking in there. Please make sure you subscribe to my channel, especially with the other app leaving. I'm really trying to grow this platform, so I would love it if you'd stick around, give this a thumbs up, comment on it, share it, save it, do whatever you can do, and I'll see you in the next one.